I was in prison, and you visited me. My name is Ruth Robillard, and I'm the director of Friends on the Outside. Friends on the Outside is a support group for people who are in prison or have been released from prison to give them support and friendship, making the whole transition back to normal life in the community just a little easier.
My name is Sister Rayanne, and I'm involved with the group Friends on the Outside. The first time I met Rick McWhinney was in 2009, and immediately I saw his tattoo, See You in Hell. We started talking about music, and I happened to mention that I liked Johnny Cash. And he said, oh, I love Johnny Cash. And then I asked him, I said, you know, Rick, when you think about life, like, who are some of your role models? And he said, well, Martin Luther King and Mother Teresa. And I thought, okay, this guy is really interesting.
First of all, he was a very, very intelligent man. Many years in solitary. He read everything that he could get his hands on.
At a very, very young age, we experienced a lot of trauma in his life, various forms of abuse.
So he was usually in institutions as he was growing up. Staying in those institutions just led to more and more trouble, more and more involvement with crime. Soon he was serving 2 life sentences.
Rick always had a love for social justice and for the underdog. And so those inmates that were, let's say, mentally ill or bullied, Rick would always try to protect them. But the turning point in Rick's life was he had a friend that said to him, you know, Rick, you're becoming what you despise. You're bullying the bullies. And that was an eye-opener for him. I know that he really struggled with his past, the things that he did. He said, you know, I'll always live with that. I'll always live with that guilt. And Rick was someone who really believed in taking ownership for the mistakes made. But at the same time, he really struggled if God could forgive him for doing such horrible things. And I remember showing him a picture of him and this little baby who's very, very dear to him. He's holding her. I said, you know, Rick, my image of God is this. Like, you're looking at her and she's gazing up at you, and that's like God, and God is holding you ever so lovingly in his arms. And he said, It was last summer where he said, Sister Rayanne, I need to talk to you about something. And I sat down and he says, I really want to be baptized. Wow, I totally was blown away.
We had never pushed. We do not push the religion. We accept anybody of any faith. Wow, that was so exciting for us.
The shift, you know, from someone who didn't think God existed and then started wondering whether God could forgive him, to the point of baptism, to the point of Jesus is supreme and he lives in me.
I was sitting right beside Rick when he was baptized at Campion College, and to see him feeling so good about what he was doing, it just gave him a huge sort of a time of peace.
He died exactly 8 weeks later, and his death was probably the most beautiful experience I've ever had. To look into the eyes of a murderer and to see the soul of a man. Justice is a necessary component of compassion. Trauma and pain can cause people to hurt others, and we must have compassion and support for victims as justice, accountability, and restoration is sought for those who have caused the pain. You know, we all have our different gifts, you know, and some people it is the gift of time or relationships and really being in the trenches and, you know, and for others that can't, their support through donations, through the Bishop's Appeal, is also very vital.
On behalf of Friends on the Outside, we thank the Archdiocese for all their support.
From I'll see you in hell to baptism into the life, death, and resurrection of Christ, Rick McWhinney's journey was an extraordinary one. Our journeys of faith may not be as dramatic, but the gospel assures us that the risen Lord goes in search of all of us, in search of all who are wounded, broken, and cast aside. As God transforms us, we are called to be agents of transformation and love for others. Rick's story of transformation was made possible in part because of your generosity. The Archbishop's annual appeal funds many important initiatives, including Friends on the Outside, which helped to transform our world. Thank you, and God bless you.